Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. So thank you for your time and being here. It's a pleasure to be here and share with you more of what we are doing at QEdu. And I hope to make the best of the next 25 minutes of our lives and share more what we are doing and how we are bringing technology and data to transform the public education in Brazil. So as Doug just mentioned, my name is Cesar. I'm the CEO of QEdu, and our mission is to improve the Brazilian education through technology and data. But before giving you the good news, I will start with the bad news. Do we have some Brazilians here? Somebody from Brazil? Andressa? OK. So I will start contextualizing a little bit more about how is education going in Brazil. So this is the size of the problem we are facing. So in this map, actually what we are picturing is the percentage of students that are learning what they are supposed to learn. So the more red it is, the closer to 0 this percentage is. And the more close to the green, the higher is the percentage. So by this map, we see that students are not learning what they're supposed to learn in Brazil. I'm not talking about advanced physics or advanced skills in writing a text or interpreting. I'm talking about very basic skills to live a normal life, to read the news, to interact with people, to calculate change, and so on. So if I had to reduce this map to a number, the number is 14%. So if we have 10 Brazilian students here, only one would be able to calculate change. Only a few of them, a very small piece of them would be able to read a news and understand what's written. Only a few of them would be able to communicate, to exchange ideas, to articulate their thoughts. And this is a huge problem, because this influences the whole generation of people who are coming and the whole generation that's going to build the next generation of Brazil. So every time I show those numbers, every time I show this map, somebody asks me, oh, OK, but you are too pessimist. We are improving. Things are not that bad. And that's true. If you look at the graph, the green line shows that we are improving. So this is the national grade in the national assessment. But I would like to highlight that we are not improving that fast, and we are below our own targets. So when we defined our targets in terms of a country, we are below of what we expected. And if you take a different look, don't look at the average, and if we segment the schools, we have that just 1% of schools are adequate. So they are running in a good path towards the direction of being a good school. 99% of them are not in this category, and 1/3 of the schools, 32%, are in a situation that we call alert. So they're not doing a good job, and they're not on track to improve it. So this is a very critical situation. This is how education looks like in Brazil, and this is exactly the problem we are tackling at QEdu. And so here comes our mission, to improve Brazilian education by using technology and data. And we are very lucky to be backed by Lehman Foundation. Lehman Foundation is a foundation created by Jorge Paulo Lehmann, who is deeply committed in transforming the Brazilian education. So the Lehman Foundation has countless initiatives towards the direction of defining a Brazilian Common Core or supporting technology into the public schools. And we are one of the initiatives that's backed by foundation. And how we do so? Basically, we have two products that consolidates our mission and help us to transform the Brazilian education. The first one is Portal QEdu. So basically, in this product, we are the largest educational data platform in Brazil. And we put together the main educational data that we have available. Brazil has a lot of public data available. And we make them more actionable. We make them more insightful. We make this data more able to be consumed by policymakers, teachers, principals, and so on, to transform the scenario that we just saw. And the second one is QEdu Provost, which means QEdu assessments. And basically, this is a digital solution to make online assessments more affordable, faster, and easier to be consumed. And I would like to share with you more about what we are doing in those two products and how they're acting on the schools and making sure that they are transforming this situation. I'd like to share some screens about Portal QEdu. I'm just bringing a short piece of the whole product that we have. And here is a piece called QEdu Networks. And basically, this is a dashboard that we provided to public managers that support them in designing and implementing better public policies. And here, I'm sorry that the texts are in Portuguese. But here, we are bringing the numbers that I just showed you, but in a different view. Instead of showing the national average or how is the situation, we try to bring the data in a more actionable way. What do I mean? In each one of those boxes, we have topics. Topics are a category created by the government that segment, that group the content. So here we are seeing mathematics in the final years of secondary school. And I would like to highlight topic number 2. Topic number 2 is called magnitudes and measures. And this is part of the whole mathematics content. And here, why I'm highlighting it? For 2 reasons. The first one, this is the lowest number that you're seeing on the screen. And the second one, it's green. So what does it mean? That when we take a look at this particular city, the lowest number is green. So the lowest number means that this city is one of the top cities in that region. So we have a problem here, right? There is something that we can act on, and there is something that we can investigate. And if I double-click on topic 2, we go to another classification that's called descriptors. So descriptors is basically a subgroup, a subcategory of the topics. And here, there are many descriptors. I just brought 2 of them that are more actionable pieces of this topic. And descriptor 12 says, or it describes the ability to resolve problems involving the calculus of perimeters. And what I would like to highlight here is this is a much more actionable piece of information than just saying that 14% of students learn what they are supposed to learn. If I say to a teacher, to a principal, to a mayor, that only a few students of their networks are learning what they're supposed to learn, this is sad, but it does not help how to revert the situation. But when I say that within this context, topic number 2, magnitudes and measures, is more problematic, and within this topic, descriptor 12, only 4% of students are able to calculate perimeter, I'm being very specific. So by doing so, when I bring this information to the classroom, to teachers, to principals, it's much more actionable. They can be able to work on it, to share best practices, to discuss, to think about a solution that can be made differently and improve the classroom practices. And more than that, we also love to promote the collaboration. Not to rank, we don't like to rank schools or teachers, but we like to promote the collaboration. And we also do it at QEdu. So in this screen, we bring in a particular topic, what are the best schools, what are the schools that are on average, and what are the worst schools. Not to highlight who is the best and who is the worst, but to promote and to incentivize best practice sharing. Of course, if we change to topic 1 or topic 3, it's going to change. So we skip the discussion of this is the best school and this is the worst one. Those guys are good in mathematics, those guys are bad in Portuguese. And we start creating a discussion much more, you can help me with this particular topic. You can help me increasing my abilities, my skills in descriptor 12, for instance. So we start reverting the change, the discussion, and we start to provoking a much more productive and a much more actionable discussion based on this data. I want to highlight one other detail here. Everything that I just showed has been gaining a lot of traction in Brazil. Many educational departments, cities, states, and so on are using it. But there is a small detail over there. Those data are from 2015. Not sure if you realized, but this is a huge problem because those are the most updated data that we have, and they are from 2 years ago. And actually, this is a huge challenge there is a huge challenge that's behind those data. First, because the data is captured every 2 years. So every odd years, the national assessment runs in the country to collect and capture this information. Second, it takes about 1 year to publish this data. So let us say in this year, 2017, the national assessment will be done in November. We will only have access to those data by the end of next year, which is a lot of time. Third, due to the nature of the assessment, students are not traceable. So it's not that I can go to the student level. For many reasons, that's not the goal. There is some privacy concerns. But the thing is, we cannot act upon a particular student. So we just have a general perspective about the system, about the school, but it's not that we can act upon individuals. And last but not least, it has a limited reach. So this assessment is applied for the 5th and the 9th grade, Portuguese and mathematics only. Of course, it gives a lot of good data and it gives a lot of insights, but still, it's just a part of the whole educational system. So having this scenario and facing this challenge, we decided to create a new product called QEdu Provost, which is our digital solution for assessments. The very first thing that QEdu Provost brings is providing better and more updated information for multiple stakeholders, educational departments, teachers, principals, and so on. But it's not about it. QEdu Provost also reduced the complexity in running an assessment. It's very complex to produce an assessment in a large scale. You have to print out, you have to review, you have to distribute grade assessments, make sure it does not leak, and many different things that are very complex. QEdu Provost also reduced the costs. I didn't know it before I started digging deeper into this problem, but many cities and states in Brazil spend millions of dollars every year to run assessments. It's very expensive, and it consumes a lot of precious resources in the education. It also reduces the time to grade the assessments. We've been talking to many teachers that spend nights, weekends, holidays, and so on grading assessment. And what they told us is that the act of grading assessment does not add any value to the pedagogical context. What adds value is consuming those data, but the act of sitting down and grading it does not add value. It also brings the technological devices to the pedagogical content. So many teachers want to bring technology to the classroom and make the students more involved with that, but they don't know how to do it. And QEdu Provost helps to bring technology into the classrooms. And it's also eco-friendly. So we reduce not only the paper spent to print out many assessments, but also all the CO2 emissions and the logistics that's involved in distributing an assessment. And I would like to share some pictures with you to show how we've been developing it. We just started. We started developing QEdu Provost earlier this year. And even though we have already partnered with 4 cities, and by partner, I mean we signed official documents with them, formalizing the relationship. And we've been finding a lot of very interesting things. The first one is in this city. It's called Caieiras. It's a city in the state of São Paulo. And in Caieiras, we applied QEdu Provost for very young kids, so kids from 10 to 11 years old, from the 5th grade, the last year of primary school in Brazil. And we had a hypothesis at that time that they were too young to start benefiting from such a solution, because they are a mobile first generation, so we were introducing computers and tablets, and for our surprise, they performed extremely well. They were able to use the computers, they had the necessary fluency to use the system, and we haven't identified any issue in using the system. We also had another situation that was very curious in this city. In this city called Taubaté, we had a range of different schools. So we had schools in safe regions and also schools coming from very vulnerable regions. There is a part of the city, a neighborhood, that they have a lot of prisons, and therefore the region is very vulnerable. There is a lot of drugs, a lot of violence going on, and the hypotheses were that those kids would not benefit for multiple reasons. But on the contrary, they were also able to use the system. They were also able to use the computers. They could take advantage of everything that we brought to them. And this was also very important because in Brazil, we have a very complex and diversified scenario. So we were able to see on practice that both vulnerable and safe regions, they were able to consume and benefit the solution. And this is a topic related to inclusion that I also would like to highlight, is how we were able to include students with special needs. And this was something that we are really glad and we are really working to advance. So in every classroom that we applied QEdu Provost, there were students with special needs. And some educational departments came to us and said, look, when we are producing the reports, please make sure that you disconsider this student and that student because they do have special needs and so on. And we said no. We said, no, let's face it together and see how it works. And the good news is the students not only performed better than expected, but actually they performed better than some other students. And what we learned with this experience is that the online assessment system, it attracted much more the attention of students. It made sure that students could focus, could adapt it, to their special needs. Some students that had some eye problems, they could zoom in. The system, of course, is color, so people could see the graphs, the pictures in color, which helped them to interpret the graphics and so on. And it also showed us and showed to the government that we don't have to split. We don't have to separate. We can have all of them together and using a different and more sophisticated tool, such as online assessments, to make sure we can include them and have a more inclusive policy and a more inclusive system. But of course, the advantages are not only for the students. This man is Leonardo. Leonardo is a principal in one of the cities that we run the project. And one of the things that I like the most in this picture is how he assumed the ownership. So once we sent the pedagogical feedback reports to Leonardo, he read all of it, he understood it, and he took ownership in making sure he would communicate this to his teachers, and this would generate the change that he wanted in his school. So in this picture, he's digging deeper together with the teachers. This is a teacher meeting that we went to see how it would go. And he was taking a discussion based on the descriptors, based on the topics, and saying, look, how we can improve not a particular student, not a particular classroom, but how we can improve our school. So if you have in the same schools a particular topic that's going well in one classroom and is not going well in the other one, how we can switch practice, how we can share, how we can improve as a system. And this did not generate competition. This did not generate teachers trying to be better than the others, but generate a very collaborative discussion in terms of how they could improve it. And also, at the end of the meeting, they produced a document with an action plan saying, look, we're going to do this, this, and that. This I'm going to do together. I'm going to do alone. This we will do together. A very actionable action plan to make sure this school's reality will be impacted. And also, talking about teachers, we also sent to them a complete pedagogical feedback report. And this was probably one of the biggest challenge, because once we have the data, and we are a lot of engineers in the team, we tend to put a lot of data, a lot of graphs, and so on. But that's not what teachers want to see. Teachers want to see actionable information that they can consume, information that help them. And what we did is we brought the information in a more organized way, not only bringing the grade, so which student did how much, but we put them in a more organized way, showing per descriptor, per topic, per knowledge area, showing to the teacher where he or she can focus on more and where he can skip the next classes. And also we brought some new information, for instance, the time spent per student. And one teacher told us, look, I've been teaching for the past 25 years, and I've never seen such information. So I know this particular student, he always has low grades, but I've never realized that he spends only 10 minutes doing the grade, doing the assessment, an assessment that was supposed to be done in 90 minutes. So it helped the teacher to understand that it was not a pedagogical issue, it was much more related to other behavior activities and characteristics, and support the teacher to act on the student and support them in improving their skills. So this is what we are doing, but of course we are just in the beginning. There are much more to be done, and we are very excited with the journey ahead of us. In the beginning, there was a lot of beliefs. We believed that this could have an impact. We believed that this could change education in Brazil, but now we know, based on the facts, based on the data, that if we bring technology, if we bring data to the public schools in Brazil, we can make a difference. Right now in Brazil, 80% of students are studying in public schools. So if we can bring it to public schools and make sure that we can support them in improving the learning, we are very confident that we can generate a better situation and a better generation in Brazil. So before I close and open to the questions, I just want to show a very short video showing you and giving you the faces behind the stories that I just told. So if you can play the video.
Quando a gente entra numa sala de informática, numa sala de aula, e vê um estudante fazendo a prova no computador, e vê o sorriso no rosto de uma criança, e vê a forma como eles interagem com a tecnologia, e vê como eles se beneficiam disso, é algo muito rico. Quando a gente conversa com um professor que agradece a gente por trazer esse tipo de tecnologia para dentro da sala de aula, uma tecnologia que empodera, uma tecnologia que ajuda, uma tecnologia que foca no que é certo, a gente fica muito feliz. E uma das experiências mais marcantes que a gente teve foi em uma das redes que a gente estava, ver professores chorando por verem seu trabalho reconhecido, chorando por verem desafios que eles teriam pela frente, mas chorando de alegria por ver que tinha um caminho e tinha uma forma de chegar lá para melhorar a educação.
So thank you very much. I think we have time for maybe one or two questions. Thank you. Okay, thank you.